Here's something that I forget all the time, which is, that's everything, right? I forget everything all the time. But this one, I'm going to repeat it as a reminder to myself as often as I forget it and remember it. And that is sometimes, because we're not all saints. We're not all monks, I should put it that way, because we are all holy and divine. Monks are mainly able to be monks because of the way that they live, because they live so removed from the triggers of society. And that's not any kind of criticism or anything. That's just, it's something that Eckhart Tolle has touched on time and time again. That sure, if you want to be peaceful, go live in an ashram, go live in a monastery. If you want to be peaceful all the time and have nothing ever really push your buttons, that's the place to do it. Inevitably, you'll find the mind acts up. It revolts against anything. It's just what it's designed to do. But it's so much easier to find peace in places that are isolated, places that are natural. That's natural because you're observing it. It's the natural state. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that's why it's a thing we should do regularly, too. To get in touch with nature, the peace, the well-being, the knowledge of it, the wisdom of nature that says all is well, all is as it should be, nothing is going wrong, nothing ever is going wrong, you're not in danger, there's no threat. All of that really awesome stuff is what nature teaches us. But it doesn't necessarily help you facing the triggers in the world. It does. If you can at least, if you can't find peace in a still moment where nothing is pushing against you, then you're not going to find it anywhere else. Absolutely. So take every one of those still moments to find peace and tap into that place and cultivate that presence and awareness within you. Yes, do that. But don't avoid the world. Don't remove yourself from the rest of society and life experience. Carry your presence with you into that place and be tested. That's where you face the real tests. And again, it's not like if you're not doing that, you're somehow weak or lesser. That's not at all the statement. That's not what I'm saying. Some people are here to hold the frequency, and the best way to hold the frequency is to stay out of society. And those people are doing a service to everybody else, holding with such certainty the awareness of well-being and that stillness, and just projecting that out into the world. And there's nothing ever really rocking their boat, so they keep that place very still and very stable, and it makes it easier for the rest of us to get back to it, and that is awesome. But there are others whose role is to dip into this place of presence and then return to the world and try as best as they can to carry the presence into places where presence and peace would appear not to be, places that seem to be the opposite. That's where transformation takes place. There are the frequency holders, the anchors, they've been called, and then there are the people who, there's all sorts of ways this could be defined, and I'm not saying this is the only way it is, but then there's the people who venture forth. And they're able to do so because of that place of anchoring that others are holding. But their role is to venture forth into the uncertainty, into the chaos, into the non-peace, and to try their best to hold the awareness in those spaces where it's really, really challenging to do so, to introduce consciousness into places that are full of unconsciousness. And that would very quickly drag one back into it. And they can, and they do, and that's not a bad thing either. And I've gone off on a pretty significant tangent from what I even intended to talk about, which was accepting that you're going to find yourself in resistance. Another thing, the thing that Eckhart Tolle has spoken about is that there are situations where it is impossible for the ego not to react. It's not about controlling the reaction of the ego. It's about separating yourself just enough from it so that you're not entirely identified with it and just carried away. But you're not stopping it. You're not telling it not to have that reaction. You're not judging that reaction. That's resisting the resistance. The very best thing that you can do in those situations where ego is going to have this reaction, and it's not wrong. It's not wrong to have it. And there is nothing you can do to stop it. In fact, trying to stop it, what are you doing? You're trying to change. You're trying to create a change. Instead of accepting the present moment, you're trying to change it. So you have just enough awareness to step back into the space that is including the reaction of ego in the present moment. Now the reaction, the internal experience, is included in what is. And because it's included, you can accept it. So now again, you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to live a resistance-free life. You're just accepting the resistance when it happens. And so you step into this deeper place of non-resistance that is, it's so non-resistant that it includes resistance, right? That it allows resistance to be. That's a deeper level of peace. That's a deeper level of allowance and surrender. It's not even trying to change what ego is saying or doing. It's not telling it it's wrong. It's not trying to stop it. It's inviting that experience, and it's non-resistance to the experience of resistance, including that in the present moment. It's peace with non-peace. So you're feeling it. You are feeling the reaction within you, and it's very real and it's visceral. And instead of trying to fight it, or judge it, or be carried away with it, instead of any of those things, because those are all over-identification with it ultimately, you're just acknowledging that this is happening. There is a reaction taking place within you. It's not a bad thing. This situation is a struggle for your human self. This is really tough on your human self. This is hard. This is a tough thing that your mind, your ego, and the humanness of you is having a really hard time with. And you can hold yourself in that awareness, in presence and acceptance, without asking yourself to change, without asking your self's experience to change internally. And then you're back in power, and you're in contact with that deeper place of peace that again is so non-resistant that it accepts resistance. It's all inclusive, and it doesn't find anything wrong with it. It finds no flaw in your perception of wrong. It finds no flaw in your fighting against what is. It finds no flaw in that. It's not fighting against your fighting. It's not judging your judgment. It's not resisting your resistance. Then you're back in true awareness of the fullness of the present moment. And in that space, you can actually accept what is. You can accept that what is resistance inside of you to the rest of what is. And you start to realize, you start to feel from that place that, oh, it really doesn't matter what's happening around me. What matters is my acceptance of what's happening within me. If I'm not accepting what's happening within me, I can't even begin to approach acceptance of without. It has to start inside. I have to be accepting my internal experience to even get remotely close to accessing acceptance of the external. So I've been bound up in resistance for a couple of days, and this is a thing that I have known and that I forget and I remember, and I'm just saying it again to remind myself it's okay. Everything that you're feeling is okay. Every thought All of it. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's allowed. It's not messing anything up. Your resistance is allowed. And more than allowed, it's valued. It's appreciated. It's not a bad thing. Your resistance is just right to be exactly as it is. So simply let it be. Simply let the resistance be. Include the awareness of your internal experience, your resistance, your anxiety, your angst, your anger, your frustration, whatever it is. Include the experience of that within the broader picture of the present moment and say yes to it. Just say yes. This is here. This is here. This is what is. This feeling, this tension, this fear, this worry, this anger, this is what is. That's it. And it doesn't need to explain. It doesn't need to go away. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to change for me to have this peace. The peace of accepting the moment fully, in its fullness, in all that it is right now. And all that it is right now is inclusive of what is going on with my internal experience. And if there's resistance there, then it's including that. What is happening right now is something within me is fighting the present moment. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not fighting the thing fighting presence. That's it. 11:44 as I looked up. That's it. Something I forget all the time, but that is so empowering to me to remember. So I just want to, again, document, express, share this for myself because it's natural to me, with the desire, with the intention that more of myself observing this finds benefit in it, is able to remember this, maybe at a moment where it was what we needed to hear. Because it's what I needed to hear this morning. So I hope that that rings true for the rest of myself. Have a beautiful day. Have a day that has resistance and acceptance of it. Because that balance and that level of inclusivity, that level of acceptance, that's where it's at. That's the most magical thing of all. That is your real superpower. You are so powerful that you can accept non-acceptance. Nothing can stop you. And in your acceptance of everything, including that, you're free. You're free. I love you. Always and in always. Now it's 11:33 on the clock. Numbers are fun. Take it easy.